As people, we are all given hands so that we can make a difference in our world. All of us are born with distinct abilities, skills, and talents, as we all strive to make our lives better. And no matter how hard it goes, at the end of the day, all we need is to keep on going. We are all given hands to make use of these gifts. And as stewards of change, the biggest question lies in how we make use of these to better the lives of others. We are inherently capable of helping. In times of responsibility, we have hands to reach out to those who need them the most. Manila Water Foundation is on a search for outstanding individuals bearing the commitment, skills, and passion for social change.
Ibigay ko yung best, ibigay ko yung talent, skills na mag-create ng bagay para makatulong sa ating magsasaka. Giving your best, creating something that will give positive impact on humanity. And that's excellent engineering.
For years, Manila Water Foundation has promoted Filipino ingenuity as a positive contribution in fostering progress in communities, to honor and encourage capable hands, to enable more to engineer innovations for the greater good. The Manila Water Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence is the first and only recognizing body acknowledging the works and contributions of Filipino engineers in the country, specializing in water, sanitation, environment, and sustainability. The prize aims to open gateways for innovators to greater networks and opportunities, for them to enable change and begin transforming communities. It only comes to show that when we engineer for the good of many, we leave a mark and push others to do the same. And that any one of us, from all walks of life, can make a positive impact in the world, and a single touch, one simple action, can improve lives. Our society still faces a number of challenges. Be the hands that will steward change. Be an engineer for social good.
Hi, I'm Engineer Rowen Helonga, Regional Director of the Department of Science and Technology in Western Visayas. I am inviting all fellow Filipino engineers to join the Manila Water Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence. This is the fourth run of this nationwide search for outstanding engineers whose accomplishments have created positive impact and improved the lives of others. This is a great opportunity to share to the public the technologies and innovations you have developed. Your accomplishments will be an inspiration to all aspiring engineers in the country and encourage them to use science, technology, and innovation for community and national development. You could be our next awardee. For more information and updates, please join the Engineers for Excellence Facebook group and Viber community. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Marie Cris Bines, National President of the Philippine Institute of Chemical Engineers, and I would like to invite all Filipino engineers to join the fourth run of the Manila Water Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence. This is a great opportunity to share your breakthrough technologies and be an inspiration to aspiring engineers in the country. You could be the next awardee. Join the Engineers for Excellence Facebook group and Viber community to get updates about the prize and tips on how to prepare your entries. For more chemical engineering updates, please like the official Facebook page of the Philippine Institute of Chemical Engineers at piche.national. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Dominga Inday Malyonga, Regional Director of the Department of Science and Technology, Caraga Region. I would like to invite all Filipino engineers to join the fourth run of the Manila Water Foundation Prize. This is a great opportunity to share your breakthrough technologies and be an inspiration to aspiring engineers in the Philippines. We want you to showcase your notable contributions that significantly provided solutions to problems in the areas of water, sanitation, environment, and sustainability. Do not confine your inventions and innovations within your community. Let's provide a wider reach by joining this competition for the greater public to know and utilize your novel technology. Your work matters. Innovate, share, inspire through science and technology.
Good day, my fellow engineers, especially my civil engineer colleagues. I am Erdsan Rene Suero, the National President of the Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers, or the PICE. It is my great pleasure to invite all our Filipino engineers out there to join the fourth run of the Manila Water Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence. The search or the award is not only recognizing the great innovations of Filipino engineers in the area of water, but also in the areas of sanitation, sustainability, and the environment. This is a great opportunity to share your breakthrough technologies and be an inspiration to aspiring and young engineers in our country. I would specifically encourage our members of PICE to join this prestigious search for engineering excellence, because as it is said, if you deliver excellence right now, that gives you the best shot at the best future you've got coming. You could be the next awardee.
Good day, everyone. I'm Julio Cesar B. Sicat, Regional Director of the Department of Science and Technology in Central Luzon, and an agricultural engineer. I would like to invite all Filipino engineers to join the fourth run of the Manila Water Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence. This is a great opportunity to share your breakthrough engineering technologies and be an inspiration to aspiring engineers in the country. Please remember that great civilizations were built upon great engineering discoveries. Who knows, you could be the next awardee. Please join the Engineers for Excellence Facebook group and Viber community to get updates about the prize and tips on how to prepare your entries. See you there!
Good morning, everyone. I hope that you're having a great morning so far. My name is Melvin Magalino from Manila Water Foundation, and I will be your host for today. In partnership with the Department of Science and Technology and the Philippine Technological Council, Manila Water Foundation welcomes you to the Engineers for Excellence webinar series. So at this point, I would like to greet all of our participants from DOST and PTC in their affiliate offices and organizations. Likewise, a great morning to all of the participants who are currently viewing our live feed for the Engineers for Excellence Facebook group and MWF's Facebook and YouTube pages. And we are glad to be able to reach the whole of the Philippines with viewers from Metro Manila, South and North Luzon, Occidental Mindoro, Cebu, Camiguin, Capiz, Bacolod, Davao, General Santos, and Caraga region. We also have viewers from Singapore, Japan, Oman, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So this three-part series aims to highlight the valuable contributions of Filipino engineers in our nation's fight against this COVID-19 pandemic. And throughout this webinar series, we will feature the awardees of the Manila Water Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence and their projects with the hope of encouraging more engineers and innovators to venture into research and development, make their technologies accessible to the greater public, and hopefully be part of the solution. So for today's episode, we will focus on the theme Engineers as Entrepreneurs in the Time of Pandemic. Our invited speakers for today are here to share their journey in establishing their enterprises and their experiences on how they continue to win the challenges brought by the pandemic. But before we go into that, we are very much honored to be graced with the presence of no less than the Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology, who will give the opening welcome remarks. Please welcome Secretary Fortunato de la Peña.
Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Okay. I am not mute.
Yes po, we hear you, Secretary po.
Okay. Thank
Good
you very
morning.
much. Warmest greetings to everyone who have joined us today for this very important occasion on the 2020 awarding by the Manila Water Foundation to our excellent engineers, okay, under the team Engineer Entrepreneurs in the time of pandemic. But perhaps somebody will dwell more on that. So I just want to say that water is a very important concern, particularly today when we are very, shall we say, eager and enthusiastic about meeting the sustainable development goals. And there are many among the 17 sustainable development goals where water is concerned. Okay, aside from making available water, okay, for human consumption, there are many items in the SDGs that really depend on the availability of water and the water of the right quality. Now, uh, I think the choice of Manila Water Foundation on to whom to give the award cannot be questioned. And I am referring to the choice of engineers as awardees. Okay, as we have seen over the years, it has been an award for engineering excellence. And if I may just enumerate the different engineering fields or disciplines where our nominees may come from, okay, regardless of what jobs or tasks they are doing at the moment, they can either be water resources engineers or hydraulic engineers. They can be agricultural engineers. They can be chemical engineers, environmental engineers, industrial engineers, computer engineers, and those who are practicing engineering economics. And I am delighted about this, okay, personally, because I come from two of those fields that I mentioned, and I teach one in that list. Well, another one in that listing. And why did I say that? First of all, I have a basic degree in chemical engineering, and in fact, I was president of the National Philippine Institute of Chemical Engineers way back in 1989 to 1990. That was more than 30 years ago. And I also belong to the industrial engineering group, having been a faculty member of industrial engineering at the UP College of Engineering for 43 years from 1973 to 2016. Uh, and among the subjects I taught was engineering economics also. So I would like to mention that as early as 2002, okay, and that was until 2007, when I served as the president of the National Research Council of the Philippines, I took the initiative of discussing and partnering with the National Academy of Science and Technology, which was then headed by the late national scientist Perla Santos Ocampo. Maybe not everyone know that there are two collegial bodies that are attached to the Department of Science and Technology. One of them is the National Research Council, which is a collegial a group of researchers all over the country. Today, there are more than 4,000 members of the National Research Council of the Philippines coming from all regions of the country. And there is also a very, shall we say, exclusive group, the National Academy of Science and Technology, where we have something like 70 academicians and national scientists whom we may say are those who have reached the apex in their careers as engineers and scientists. And they have an engineering division there, which again, I can claim some credit because it was organized, okay, when I was then the undersecretary of the OST, and they wanted to set up an engineering division, okay, and it was not easy to set up one because the potential nominees there cannot be the one to be the nominators. It was given to me as a task then of the president of the National Academy of Science and Technology to be the nominator of the initial group of members of the engineering division of the National Academy of Science and Technology, and they are all active members of that division up to this time. Now, when we discussed the key and very important issues where the two collegial bodies should collaborate, NRCP and NAS, there were four areas where we agreed would be common concerns, both in terms of research and in terms of advocacy. And this is water, energy, population, and waste management. And I think even up to today, these are very pressing national issues or concerns. And therefore, you can glean from the way we support R&D on water that this is really a high priority in our research agenda. You can see it, okay, in the research agenda of our different councils of the central office under the National Unified Health Research Agenda. You can see it in the research priorities of our regional offices and also our collegial bodies. So people should not be surprised why DOST is a partner of the Manila Water Foundation in giving this award for engineering excellence. And this year, we dwell on a very timely topic, which is the pandemic, and of course, entrepreneurship, which is a very important aspect of development, and of course, engineers acting as entrepreneurs. And so I would like to end this message by saying that we expect to see, okay, the best among the best win the Manila Water Foundation Engineering Excellence Award for this year, and I guess this is going to even uh, put into better focus the importance of research and development in water. Thank you very much, and may we have a very productive event.
Thank you so much, Secretary Dela Peña. It's such a great honor to have you here today. And thank you so much po for reiterating that this Engineers for Excellence is really open for the different fields of engineering, be it industrial, chemical, civil. So thank you so much, sir. And it's really a pleasure to have you here this morning. So without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker for today. She is one of the five awardees of the prize during its inaugural launch in 2015. She is a chemical engineer by profession and is University of San Carlos' current dean of the School of Engineering. She is also currently serving as the COO of a startup company in the Philippines, GEMS Incorporation, which is the first mango waste biorefinery in the world. Among her major R&D projects is the conversion of mango wastes into high-value products. And through this project, she was also able to give better livelihood to a community of scavengers in Cebu. Aside from being an awardee of the prize, she is also a two-time awardee of the prestigious WIPO Gold Medal for Inventors of her technological innovations and outstanding achievement in utilizing intellectual property for social and economic development. She also received the Outstanding Engineering Achievement Award from the ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organizations, AFEO, in Penang, Malaysia. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first speaker for today, Dr. Evelyn B. Taboada.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Melvin, for that kind introduction. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Manila Water Foundation, for organizing this event on Engineers for Excellence webinar series. So today, I'd like to share with you our experience during this pandemic. No, so as mentioned by Melvin, we are having we had a startup company born out of our research endeavors at the university. So I'll talk about the challenges and opportunities during the pandemic. But before that, I would also give a short background on what our activities or what our project or what this company is all about. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. So to give an outline, so I already mentioned that I would like to give a brief introduction. I'd like to walk you through the processes and the products involved in the mango waste biorefinery and look at value propositions to industry and society because it is also very important that what we do actually impacts in the end society. No, and then we look at challenges and opportunities in this venture and some outlook in this venture as well. So next slide. So to start off, many years ago, we kind of envisioned what we should do with our food waste. No, as mentioned, it is a very food is a very important resource, and then in many ways we can see that it is wasted. While on the one hand, a lot of people, a lot of our fellow men have no food on the table. So since we can only do so much, we look at and focus on food waste. Next slide. So in the food waste stream, we look at also the opportunities of the mango waste. So as I mentioned, I come from Cebu and I work in Cebu, and I really converse and talk to people here in Cebu and with the business community. And we found out that the biggest mango processing companies in the country are here in Cebu. And in fact, they cater to more than 80% of what we actually process as a country. So this results in a lot of mango waste. So there are three important mango byproducts or waste here that we have identified: the seeds, the peels, and the kernels. The kernels are the ones inside the seeds. Next slide. And then we see that here, from the Board of Investments of DTI, there are 66 mango processing industries in the country. So we thought about having really this industry grow and making this also a parallel and complementary industry to the mango processing industry. Next. So, if we look at some background, the Philippines actually is gaining a lot in the mango production. Give and take, we produce like 1 million tons of mangoes every year. And in terms of product sales, we have about 10 billion, and it's even more right now uh, per year. And we process mango, 50% of our mango into processed products like dried mangoes, jams and jellies and juices. And consequently, we have from the industry itself around 700 to 1,000 tons per day. So this does not include all the mango waste that are generated in households. These are only the ones coming from the mango processing industry. Next. So in the world, if you look at the perspective in the world, about 40 million tons of mangoes are produced, and you see that in Asia we produce more than 3/4 of what the world can produce, and in the Asian region, Philippines is just number 7 in terms of mango production, but we all know that we are blessed with the best mango in the world. So that's why the mangoes, the processed mangoes that we have are really in demand around the world. For mango alone, we have about 2.5 billion US dollars of captured market every year. So this actually contributes to economic development in Asia. Next. So what we do at GEM? So basically, we just process mango peels and mango seeds coming out from the mango processing industry into the facility to produce a variety of products, as you can see here in the slide. So we have briquettes as alternative solid fuels. We have animal feeds, the feed mix, the flour, mango flour, and the tea. We have mango butter, mango pectin, polyphenols, and now we are working on some specialty fine chemicals that can be used in fine chemicals industry. Next. So in the end, the 100% waste out of mango peels and seeds are fully processed, and we are able to demonstrate that we could actually reduce it to zero waste. Next. So then many years ago, then we decided that we have to come up with a company. This is now the first mango waste biorefinery, in fact, in the world. And this company is a green integrated process facility to demonstrate 100% treatment of the mango fruit waste, resulting in the generation of high value product streams. Next. So as you can see, I walk you through by giving or providing you some pictures from the development phase to the commercial stage. For those of you who are interested on how we come about the process of doing research in the laboratory up to the commercial stage. So as you can see in the pictures, you have here on the upper left and the lower right, these are the mango seeds and the mango peels that are dried in our solar drying facility. And on the upper right, you have there a spray dryer, pilot scale, bench scale spray dryer that we can use to produce polyphenol powder. And then we have here also some intermediate products that are ready for packaging. Next slide. Then we have also more pictures. So this is another set of views in our solar drying facility. As you know, mango seeds and peels have about 60 to 70% water. So it is really very expensive if we make use of the mechanical or the electric dryers. to dry such amount. So therefore, we make use of a natural renewable resource. So we build a kind of a greenhouse solar type dryer to do all this work. And you can see here at the bottom right hand corner some folks. So these are guys, people, very young people out of school youth, and they are coming from the marginalized sectors of society. We assimilate them into the company, so they are having work already. Next slide. And then furthermore, so this is the clean views of the inner part of our facility. So as you can see on the left hand side corner, there's a long tunnel dryer. This is a solar powered tunnel dryer that we also design and construct ourselves so that we could finally dry our fine products here inside the food grade tunnel dryer. And on the other side, you could also see some products in plastic sacks. These are the feed mix or the animal feed mixture that we could also sell to the feed mix or the feed industry. Next slide. So further pictures. So just to show how we are as we go and as we grow in this company. So another view of the solar dryer. So then you have some appreciation of what it really means when you have to deal with a lot of waste. In this case, the mango waste, which are now actually not waste but byproducts that can further be produced into high value products. Now you saw the boys working beside the solar dryer and working on decortication and cutting off of seeds. Here on the right hand corner, the upper side, you can also see women working together or complementary with the men. And in this case, they are deshelling the seeds so that they can separate the kernels from the shells. So in our company, we are very sensitive about gender equality. So both ways we give importance to both genders, and then we give importance also to observe gender equality and sensitivity. Next slide. So I walk you through some of the products. So this would be very quick. So these are pictures of our mango flour in bulk packaging. We have samples of pectin, mango polyphenols, and mango flour also in retail packs. And I show you here some noodles made up of mango flour, and noodles also cooked together with pandesal on the side. Pandesal is also made of mango flour. Next. Next slide. So here, another important product, very high value product. We extract polyphenols. What are polyphenols? These are really important antioxidants that have anti-aging and anti-cancer properties. They are proven to have those clinically. And then so we sell also, and we formulate and sell what we call mango fix. This is a food supplement that would really be good for our health. So we partner with a pharma industry to prepare these capsules for us. Next slide. So the advantage of the process technology that we implement in this biorefinery is that it demonstrates the 100% treatment of waste. So it is indeed possible to do this, and then combine it with efficient and environmentally friendly waste management strategy, and at the same time generating a range of high value product streams that are even marketable in internationally. And we also demonstrate that the economy of scale is very important. So with more volume, then you have less cost, and then you could actually make some margins that is good for the business. And the company also demonstrated that the use an application of green technology is also very important, like demonstrating the solar drying facility, using solar power to run some of the equipment that we have, and also producing briquette, which is a solid fuel alternative for boilers. Next. Of course, we have these advantages, and then that's what are the challenges in this context. Uh, if you can imagine, the whole process is actually complex and requires customized machinery and some even new processes that we have to develop ourselves, including the equipment. But there has to be continuous research and development. So that's all the power of engineers, right? And then, of course, in this kind of company, when you have food products, there would be strict regulatory requirements on product standards. So that's what we also adhere to. And then, since we sell into the international market, we also observe very strict certifications on food safety and security. So, in the end, the manufacturing facility requires big investments. So that's why we partner with some investors who can actually appreciate this particular project and business venture. Next. So the value proposition, this is very important for industry and in the society to know that this kind of project and this kind of ventures actually highlights waste recycling that is part of resource management. So we have a very important resource in this case. These are the mangoes. And then we all know that 50% of the mango fruit is actually the waste. So if you buy 1 kilo of mango at 100 peso and you throw the seeds and the peels, you are throwing already 50 pesos out of that. And in this case, we demonstrate the value creation and intensification by producing more valuable products out of this resource. In the process, we create jobs, and then we have some uh, preference to give chances to people, especially in the marginalized sector. And now the biggest challenge is sustainability. We know that business is the heart of the economic development of the country. So this is an important challenge, continuous challenge to innovate so that we can sustain the project and the company by having continuous income, by having a continuous stream of products that are useful to our clients. Next. So the challenges and opportunities during the pandemic. So this is a very important topic in this case because suddenly we are shocked because of the developments of the coronavirus, and suddenly all of us are not prepared of this very strict compliance with safety and health protocols during ECQ, and then suddenly we shut down. So we were kind of like stuck for like a week or two, but after that, life must move on. So we have this time as an opportunity to do comprehensive inventory and record keeping and assessment and evaluation of the facility. So some key staff work from home, and then some programs immediately some programs are drawn in relation to the continuous quality improvement and innovation in the facility. So one is the recalibration of output and sales projections in the company so that we improve income. And then we get back to online activities, amazingly, on promotions and external relations with new and old clients. So everybody is in the online mode already. So we make use of this, and we continue the online selling with key partners. And then this was taken also today during this pandemic. We are now on our 7th month. This was also taken or is taken as the opportunity to improve our products and processes, taking into account feedback of our clients. no? And so we go back to the drawing board, look at as engineers, we look at the process, we look at the products, what more can we do, how we could improve one step or one process of the product and and all the other things that involve while we are in quarantine and working at home. And ultimately, the overall game is that we have to implement circular economy more extensively. Next. So what is circular economy? Circular economy is not actually a new concept, but this is the overarching principle of the facility that we are having. So whatever raw materials you have, and basically these are the waste or byproduct streams from other industries, you can go. It can be. It can went through a certain set of processes of reforming, reducing, reusing, recycling, whatever we can do as engineers, such that the final destination is that we have a repurposed set of products and then a set of streams, and then also that we have minimized such waste. In this particular example, we have demonstrated zero waste, that all the incoming waste streams are actually utilized to produce various range of products. Our challenge right now, and we look into it more closely, are the auxiliaries, like the additives, the water, and some of the solvents that we use in the process, like ethanol, food grade ethanol. We look at how we could really reduce the use of such auxiliaries by recycling some of these streams. Next. So the next slide is a short video presentation. So I hope you indulge me because it's very interesting. Just a 2-minute video presentation that is sponsored by the Department of Trade and Industry. So please, can you play the movie? Yeah.
Lima na tuig na masura. Mawalan niya ang among pangabuhi sa akong pamilya. Pero wala pa nagtaong mas maayo man ihatag ang mamulot ng basura. Samot ng basura, gikan sa mangga. Mao ni akong istorya.
Dati akong scavenger sa Mactandam site. Then, sige ko pangita trabaho sa una. Wala man kayo dawat sama na ako nga. Kuan ra na high school graduate ra. Pagka tuko dani kumpanya, nalipay og dako kay ipason may gitabangan may kay makatabang na mi sa akong pamilya ba.
So basically, yung research namin is more of converting mango waste into high-value products.
DTI help in the first place through the agency, the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. We are able to file patents for this technology. From there, we look for good partner investors to bring these products into commercialization stage.
I decided to get involved because I saw that it is a very noble project. Our mission vision is to have a holistic and integrated approach to agricultural and food waste. This will help our environment, and it also will help our less fortunate brothers and sisters in the community.
Nakatrabaho na ko diri sa James. Maayo na ang pagpuyo. Kataon namin sa katadlaw katulo.
Basura na dahil siya niya na himo na mo nga pamortahan ang basura dahil nga liso sa mangga mahimo dahil pamortahan na mo na katabang sa damog gasto.
We envision that in the next 5 to 10 years we are able to expand. We get interest from other parts of the world like South Africa, and they invited us to establish also the same facility there.
It's
basically, this is why we are promoting entrepreneurship. If we have more entrepreneurs, if we have more businesses, then there will be more job opportunities. That promotes inclusive development.
Okay, so shall we go to the next slide? So that would be my last slide. So at this point, I'd like to thank very much, of course, Manila Water Foundation, our partner in promoting excellence for engineers. So I also would like to share with you today that incidentally this afternoon, the Philippine Chamber of Commerce in an industry will award our company. It is the winner of the Excellence in Ecology and Economy Award for environmental and innovation for the SME category. So I'm so happy with this because this is actually one of the fruits during the pandemic, going through all the requirements and having to ensure that all the criteria are met, and it is really very tedious. So for comments, suggestions, and questions, you can email me at this email address, and then we can have time for discussion right now live online. So once again, thank you for having this time with me, and thank you, Manila Water Foundation.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Tabuada. I just really like to share that is it just me or are we just really emotionally touched by that presentation? Who knew that mango waste could really turn into high value products such as solid fuel, feed mix, flour and tea, among others. And what I loved about that presentation is how they shared their values, that they got to provide jobs for the out of school youth and the less fortunate. Such a powerful project. And thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Tabuada. And I'd just like to quickly engage with our viewers. We have viewers from different cities. We have Rodyard joining us from Boracay. We have Kay from Caloocan. We have Rose from Binyan. So good morning again to all of our viewers. So let's now move on to our next speaker. He is among the most recent awardees of the Manila Water Prize for Engineering Excellence during the 29th edition. He is an agricultural and biosystems engineer by profession and currently serves as a senior research fellow for the Philippine Rice Research Institute. His expertise in the gasification technology made it possible for him to start his own enterprise, BioLexis. So BioLexis focuses on the commercialization of the multi-fuel gasifier stove, which he invented to help low-income households gain access to affordable fuel. With this in mind, he also made his technology into an open source. And through this, he was conferred as an awardee of the Rolex Award for Enterprise in 2008 and is the first Filipino to receive this award. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Engineer Alexis T. Belonio.
Good morning. Good morning to all. So my presentation is about my experiences and best practices pursuing the RISA's gasifier technology in the time of pandemic. Okay, so the BioLexis is just on the stage of commercialization, while the other technologies is on the pre-commercialization. But I will relate to you my experiences, how I pursue this RAS gasifier technology, especially this time of pandemic. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the outline will be, I'll talk about the gasifier technology using RISAS, a little of that. Then what motivates me to do such a activity or such a development. Then the sources of inspiration. Of course, we did inspiration when we are doing this. Then development and commercialization process. So how did I start from the beginning until it goes to a commercialization of the different technologies on the RISAS gasifier. Then experiences, best practices. Then I will end up on concluding remarks. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, RISAS gasifier. So what is RISAS gasifier? It is a technology that converts RISAS into combustible gaseous fuel for heat and power. So the traditional or conventional method of converting RISAS into energy is by direct combustion. But this is more on gasification process. So to understand further what is RISAS, so we know that RISAS is the byproduct after we harvest, then mill, and process it, and finally it ends up to a waste, which is RISAS. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. So what is gasification? So what is gasification? It's just a process of converting RISAS. We burn RISAS with limited amount of air, around 20 to 40% of this is stoichiometric air, and it will produce carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and methane, and this becomes a combustible. The gas when burned produces clean heat suitable for cooking, baking, drying, and other applications, even to generate power for powering fueling engines and to generate electricity. Then the byproduct is what we call char. So char is a good material for carbon sequestration. And worldwide, it's now being studied by the different countries utilizing char from RISAS for carbon sequestration. Next slide. Okay, so what is the application? Next slide, please. So this application are as follows. So when we gasify RISAS, we produce heat by burning the gas, and that is a thermal. Then the gas also can be used to for mechanical power generation. So the gas that after we clean the gas, we fuel it into internal combustion engine. Then the engine can drive pumps and different agricultural machines. If we connect it to a generator, the engine connected to generator, it will produce electricity for off-grid areas, either AC or DC electricity. So I'll show you the next slides of the different photos I have. Okay, so that one is the RISAS gasifier stove. So you can see the kind of flame produced from the RISAS gasifier when we convert RISAS into gas. So it needs only a little amount of air in order to produce that kind of gas. Next slide. Next slide, please. So this is the RISAS gasifier stove used for household cooking. So since 2008, I think 2008, I started sharing the technology worldwide, and the different countries, different household, different fabricators or manufacturers are producing this kind of stove. So you can see there Indonesia, Nepal, Vietnam, of course here in the Philippines, in India. And there are also other countries in South America. Next slide, please. Okay, so next slide. This is the new version of the RISAS gasifier with the brand name BioLexis. So BioLexis is from the word biomass, and Alexis is the Lexis there. It is produced by Aprotech Enterprise. It's a small business enterprise which is managed by my son. Okay, so you have the single burner stoves, you have the two burner stoves, and later on it will go to a larger equipment. Next slide. Okay, so this is an example of the RISAS gasifier for thermal application. You can see it can be used for cottage industry, even for baking, even for drying. So the gasifier reactor is quite big already in such kind of gasifier. Next slide. So this is the RISAS gasifier used for mechanical power. Once we clean the gas by scrubbing and filtering, so we can use it as fuel to replace gasoline in spark ignition engine, or it can be co-fired with a diesel on a diesel compression engine. Okay, so there are so many applications. Once you have the engine runs, so you can couple the engine into the different kinds of agricultural machines. So, but you need to do sizing. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so RISAS gasifier, once you have the engine, then once you connect it to a generator, like a AC general alternator or DC alternator, you can generate electricity out of that. So that is good for off-grid areas. Okay, next slide. Okay, what causes me, what motivates me to do that? First, it's a colleague doing this gasifier because initially I'm doing on processing equipment. But on the later part, when I heard I'm being called to do this gasifier technology, and then I start doing it. That was in 1984. Okay. Second, the plight of those who have no or limited access to clean fuel for cooking and for powering farm machines. Okay, that is the second motivation or a factor. Then the third is the desire to help build a better environment with reduced, if not eliminated CO2 and black carbon emissions. So the technology actually was tested at Asian Institute of Technology during the US ASEAN Next Generation Cook Stove. And this stove has the cleanest flame being used for cooking. Then the fourth there is the compassion to those who have no source of livelihood for to somehow give them works, the job opportunities. Next is the next slide, sir. Next slide. Okay, so the sources of inspiration are God Himself, of course, peace and joy, confidence in and assurance. I have the one who can teach me the grace to overcome difficulties or challenges. Next inspiration is people who express interest on what I am doing. Siyempre, na-inspire, so I have to do it. Then recognitions of the work I have done. So, and the last there is ano na ngayon? Last there is fourth, compassion to those who have no source of livelihood for someone somehow give them the work so they could be able to provide for the basic needs of their family. Next slide. Next slide, development and commercialization process. So in here, this is how I did the development from the proof of concept. So I started doing a proof of concept. Usually in every project, I do proof of concept, just a simple experiment. Then after that is conceptualization. So conceptualization is a preparation of rough sketches of the design, invention, or innovation. So usually I prepared 3 or 4 different designs, then end up to a final one. Then I do search and review. Okay, so is there any studies already done? So that no more what we call reinventing the wheel to be done. Then after that, design and fabrication. So I do the designing and let others fabricate it in small shops or even in backyard shops. Okay, next slide. So after that is I do testing and modification. So during testing, so I learn more about the parameters involved, so that next time I do the designing, it would be more easier. Then after testing and modification, next is to pilot, to do piloting and improvement of the technology. Okay, conduct field testing to assess the acceptability of the technology by the target user, gather feedbacks to further improve the design. Next is after piloting, it's a little bit okay. So I go on pre-commercialization. In here, most of the projects I have now is on pre-commercialization. So final checking, the design and for mass promotion, production, etc. Then after that, commercialization, wherein Biolexis is one. But Biolexis is just one highlighted here. There are others who are doing commercialization of the stove technology worldwide. Okay, not going to mention it anymore. So these are the 3 phases. So first phase, we have the proof of concept, conceptualization, then search and review. And after that, the second phase is to design, test and modify, then pilot, and later on, the final one is pre-commercialization and commercialization process. Okay, So for summary, so what is the action? I did is usually pray, listen, then obedience, then for provisions. So I have those provisions, ideas, knowledge, wisdom, financial support linkages, and so many others, even publication, research fellowship, patents, etc. Then for recognition is the awards, consultancy, resource speakership, and others. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. So experiences. Okay, here are my experiences. At the start, I was a little bit affected by the pandemic. But when I turned to God and sought Him more than ever, I become intensely dependent on Him in everything that I do, and all things turn out good. Siyempre sa una, kakabahan ka kasi nga pandemic. He never failed me and He never will. And that is what is happening. I learned to seek the promise of God to comfort me and guide me on a day-to-day basis. Kasi mahirap po eh. When we develop technology, it's too difficult. Hindi natin ko alam yung next ano bang dapat. So, usually I seek. The more I rely and depend on His guidance, the more easier it becomes for me to accomplish assigned tasks. Okay. And by the grace of God, many become interested on Rice's gas stove business with trademark Biolexis, and which my eldest son is managing. Order for Biolexis gradually increases even during the time of pandemic. Kasi need yung energy. So, nagtitipid ang karamihan. So, kailangan sila may another technology na pwedeng to replace or to supplement their energy needs. With God's help, I have no difficulty working from home. He enables me to accomplish various things and provide my superiors at Rice with the needed technical guidance related to R&D undertakings in which I am involved. We discuss updates and concerns through messaging, emails, or video chat. Now I don't have to travel for 3 hours one way. And one way. I now have the luxury of time which I enjoy spent in writing technical reports and papers for publication, patent, description of new designs, and design improvement of emerging technologies. Next slide, sir. With this enablement, I find an easier giving guidance to those who seek technical assistance through virtual meetings. So, nagtatanong yung mga ibang mga bureaus, mga agencies, so how to help them. Especially, example of this is the case of the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Agricultural and Fishery Engineering. We met weekly to discuss concerns related to renewable energy program, to which I am involved through virtual meetings. Kasi merong tie-up ngayon ng DA, BAPE, and DOE, Renewable Energy Bureau nila doon. Okay? No difficulties encountered even in the preparation of proposal for the pilot testing of 3 hydrous bioethanol facility for the production of synthesizer alcohol using agricultural waste of fuel. Last time kasi we developed this tinatawag na hydrous bioethanol from NIPASAP at Rice. Then I think sabi ng DA BAPE, we can be of help by having this pilot testing of this hydrous bioethanol facility. Another proposal I prepared during this time of pandemic is on biomass gasifier for powering agricultural machines, also with agri-waste as fuel. Kasi nga, kailangan na natin na renewable, we need possible alternatives for conventional fuel. Next slide. Tapos na po, yung experiences. Next slide. Sige pa, isa pa. Next slide pa. Okay, yan. Not only that, the Lord sent me entrepreneurs and civic-minded individuals alike who sought assistance in finding solutions to pressing problems related to food production, use of renewable energy, and solid waste disposal. With God's grace and empowerment, I was able to develop technology that addresses these problems, particularly the problem on municipal solid waste, that is through pyrolysis and gasification process. If travel is inevitably needed, this time of pandemic becomes an advantage because traffic is not a problem. I can reach the place in a shorter period of time. Next slide, please. Okay, during vacant time, moreover, I do simple experiment to see whether the new concept I have on something would work or not. For example, the use of biomass to mix with plastics as feedstock for gasifier. Kasi may time, so I can do some simple experiment or what we call proof of concept, whether it will work or not before doing a design. Next, I also read technical scientific papers related to emerging technologies that I am involved with, such as pelleting, torrefaction, refuse-derived fuel, etc., and update the handbooks on the various technologies I have developed. Next slide. So for best practices, prayer is the best practice I developed, especially during this volatile time where we do not know what comes next. Having said so, I would like to encourage everyone to dwell in the secret place of the Most High, for the Lord always answers our prayer. Staying at home and doing assigned tasks related to my work at Pilrise, also doing the things that Lord inspires me to work on, such as writing project report, preparing patent description, and other which can be safely and productively done on time. Next slide. Okay. Spending vacant time in conducting proof of concept experiment to see the workability of the concept and to roughly determines the important variables that need to be considered in developing new products, supplemented with readings or reviewing related studies to be able to prepare design concept, etc. And virtual meetings have become the great advantage to me, enabling me to save time and resources in traveling while being able to extend help and being productive. This requires, however, a better communication infrastructure like upgrading an internet connection to have better signal. Next slide, please, sir. For concluding remarks, the Rice's gasifier is a proven technology that can turn rices into gaseous form of clean energy for various applications. Though there are difficulties encountered during the time of pandemic as experienced with God's divine intervention, things turn out good and everything fall in place properly and timely. Work from home is advantageous in terms of activities that can be accomplished in a given period of time. The use of internet for online connections such as email, social media, and online meetings has helped a lot in accomplishing jobs to be done. God's protection, finally, through prayer is the best weapon in overcoming problem caused by the pandemic. So, thank you very much and God bless to all.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, Engineer Belonio, for that very moving presentation. I'd just really like to share that I was moved behind what you've shared about the heart behind the BioLexis. That it was first a calling for you, how you were moved with compassion, and how you made sure to really indicate God in that presentation. We are so encouraged and blessed by how you've been an excellent and faithful steward of what God has entrusted to you. Thank you so much, Sir Belonio. All right, so before we proceed to our last speaker for today, may I please just remind our viewers to send their questions to our speakers through the comment section of this broadcast, either on the Engineers for Excellence Facebook group or MWF's Facebook or YouTube pages. Our panel will answer your queries right after the presentation of our last speaker. So to move on with our program, let me introduce our final speaker for today's webinar. She is also among the 5 awardees of the prize during the inaugural year in 2015. She is also a chemical engineer and a professor at the Adamson University, where she's also served, formerly as the Dean of Graduate School. She is now the CEO of Envigor, Natural Products Manufacturing and Incorporation, the makers of Vigor Min, an organo-mineral used to fast-track the treatment of wastewater before reintroducing it to the bodies of water. And aside from being an awardee of the prize, she was also named as an awardee of the first Man Smith Innovation Award for the individual category last January of 2020, and also received national recognitions, including the 2019 Gregorio E. Zara Award for Outstanding Technology Commercialization, given by the National Academy of Science and Technology of DOST. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Merlinda A. Palencia.
Good morning, everyone. A blessed day. I thank you, Manila Water Foundation, for having this privilege of sharing our humble experiences during the challenging time of this pandemic. The slide, please. So next, my presentation today will just be sharing about how of our humble experiences, the company's experiences during the time of COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide, please. So my presentation has four main topics. Initially, I will be sharing our journey from innovation to technopreneurship, and then we'll be sharing the impact and challenges of COVID-19 to the business, to the different businesses, including Envigor. And then we would like to share our action plan or recovery plan for the next 1 or 2 years. And I'll be sharing the recommendations of the Asian Development Bank of the Philippines for the policy support that will lead the industries and the different businesses, including the SMEs, towards economic recovery. Next slide, please. So initially, I would just like to share how our company was born. It is from academic research activities, just like Dr. Taboada and Engineer Bilonio. So academic research activities was developed, and then we have what we call technology validation, in situ applications, and finally, we have the project from the Department of Science and Technology, TAPI, the pilot plant for the production of natural biogenic minerals for waste management. So we had our pilot plant inauguration last June of 2017. Next slide, please. So from the completion of the pilot plant, Envigor Natural Products Manufacturing was born. This is the spin-off company of Adamson University. The company Envigor envisions the ecology-friendly and natural treatment of different types of waste, particularly wastewater and solid waste. So we have two main variants at present. We have the Vigormin 1 or V1, which is really formulated to be able to treat wastewater, particularly domestic wastewater. So as the brochure would show, you will know that the problem of our bodies of water, the pollution of our bodies of water, particularly lakes, bay, rivers, and seas, is mainly due to domestic wastewater. So when we develop our product V1, we hope to promote the natural and collaborative treatment of wastewater, and it should start from the different households. So our advocacy is to promote the participation of every family by providing a natural, ecology-friendly, safe treatment of our domestic wastewater. So we have packaging of Vigormin 1 in 1 kilo so that individual homes, every family can participate by just using 1 kilo of Vigormin every month. Or if your septic tank is really very cute, you can use 1/4 to 1/2 kilo of Vigormin every week or every 2 weeks. Aside from Vigormin 1, we have Vigormin 2, which is now recommended for the natural odor control of solid waste. The application of this one is very admired or really appreciated by the different landfills of LGUs, just like San Fernando City in La Union. They are using our product regularly to be able to control the odor of their landfill and to promote the natural biodegradation of their solid waste or organic solid waste. This is also used, the product is also used, as you will see in this picture, our product is also used for the control of odor, strong odor emanating from fish kill or high mortality of fish in the different fish ponds. So our product is used to control odor and promote the natural decomposition of this solid waste And later on, after a year, this solid waste can be a good compost material or fertilizer. So the birth of Vigormin, the biogenic minerals for natural eco-friendly waste treatment, is actually a partnership of Adamson University and the Department of Science and Technology, a shared copy, and through the support of the different regional offices of the UST. So we will really say that the promotion of our product is a big challenge because this is not food related. This is not related to clothing or to the basic needs of the company. So what we can say is through the cooperation and support of the different UST offices, we were able to promote our advocacy that treatment of wastewater is an urgent need and everybody should participate in the treatment of our used water, particularly domestic wastewater. So, next slide, please. These are the early milestones of our company, just to share with you. Because if you're interested into technopreneurship, I think it is important that you to share with you the milestones so that this is the path that most of you will take. So after the completion of the pilot plant and to make the operation of the pilot plant legal and operational, aside from the business permits, we have to secure the SEC registration into 2017 or immediately after the completion of the pilot plant. The BIR registration also was done in August 2017 to have a legal entity and participate in the bids of the different companies. Also, we have a SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig Fund corporate registrations in 2018. We have PhilGES registration in 2019. And in 2020, January of 2020, we were able to have the BOI registrations, a new producer and pioneer status. And with this, we were given the income tax holiday incentive for 6 years. Thank you, BOI, for this support to spin-off companies. Next slide, please. So the inspiration of prime movers of our humble company, which is from innovation to commercialization, was actually through the different recognitions and inspirations given by private and government institutions. So initially, we were given the first Mansmith Innovation Award, and we were given also the Technology of Choice Award by in Tech Lunch at 2019, the 2019 Gregorio Izara Award for Outstanding Technology Commercialization. Next slide, please. And all these awards were actually our prime movers. The 2015 Prize for Engineering Excellence Award of Manila Water Foundation opened the gates for us. So with this, we were given the push, the encouragement, the inspiration to be able to move our product from just an academic research innovation and then to a commercial product. Again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Manila Water for opening doors for all of us. Next slide, please. So in 2020, and we have a very good start. 2019 and 2018 were good years for us as a startup company. In 2019, our sales increased by 66% compared to 2018. And we were able to achieve our sales target in those years. The first quarter of 2020, we were also able to achieve our sales target, only the first quarter sales target. And the BOI registration and the income tax holiday was a great blessing for us to be able to survive this challenge. Next slide, please. Other than the normal production and marketing and promotion of our product, the company is also engaged in other research projects, mostly to be able to help the different communities adopt what we call the modular, eco-friendly domestic wastewater treatment. This one is funded again by the Department of Science and Technology and through the leadership of Dr. The regional director of Region 6, or so the Iloilo region. Next slide, please. So this is just to show how we were able to participate in the development of the modular eco-friendly wastewater treatment of the Ati community in Boracay. This is a demonstration that residential communities should not contribute to the pollution of our natural water resources. Hopefully, in this project, we will showcase that if there is a collaborative effort, communities, residential houses should never contribute to the pollution of our natural water resources, especially if it is an ecotourism destination, a prime ecotourism destination such as Boracay. Next slide, please. So here comes COVID-19 at the onset of March. The whole world was in economic standstill. The COVID-19 pandemic had spread with alarming speed, infecting millions and bringing economic activity to a near standstill as countries, including the Philippines, imposed strict or restrictions on the movement to halt the spread of the virus. As the health and human toll grows, the economic damage is already evident and represents the large economic shock of the world. And this is experienced even by developing, developed, and well-developed or advanced countries. The baseline forecast envisions a 5.8% contraction in global GDP in 2020. Using market exchange rate rates, the deepest global recession in decades is the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the extraordinary effort of government to counter the downstream with fiscal and monetary policy support, nobody can escape the economic retraction or contraction due to this pandemic. Next slide, please. So I would like just to share with you the impact of COVID-19 to the Philippine business as reported by the Asian Development of the Philippines. So according to the report, though critical in safeguarding public health against the spread of COVID-19 and the enhanced quarantine or enhanced community quarantine and other quarantine and lockdown measures dramatically limited business activities throughout the country. The government imposed the government quarantine and ECQ and or MECQ later on in the middle of mid-March. These measures are necessary to contain the spread of the virus, but this has dramatic impact to the businesses, including Envigor. As mentioned, 67% of the firms of business firms immediately suspended business activity. If firms are operating, they cut their production activities by 50%. The smaller firms, the SMEs, has the lower share of the business remaining open. So the impact of the ECQ is actually widely spread by the SMEs. The wholesale and retail trade are mostly affected because of the restriction of travel and of the lockdowns. Next slide, please. So based on the report, only 16% of the industries are fully operating. And this is mainly due to the necessary supply of food and basic services. So the wholesale and retail trade and the information and communication industries are able to survive and fully operating. About 26% of the industries are permanently closed. This is mainly represented by the accommodation and food in services and information and communication. So the tourism-related activities or industries were really adversely affected by COVID-19. Firms temporarily closed. In Metro Manila, 50% of the firms were actually temporarily closed, especially during the ECQ and the MECQ. Next slide, please. Envigor in the time of pandemic, because of the lean operations that we have, and because our product is still needed by the different regular clients to be able to manage the waste, our operations are not suspended. However, we reduce our production rate. The reduction of the production rate, however, does not mean reduction or laying off of our personnel. Instead of the regular production capability, we are operating at 35% only of our production capacity because of the contraction of the demand. The production and marketing activities are not suspended, though there was a decline in these activities due to travel restrictions and safety protocol. Product deliveries are also completed as per demand because we are categorized as Category 1 industry, and we are not restricted as long as we can present the purchase order and the necessary travel permits. During the reduction of production activity, our personnel focus on equipment maintenance, inventory management, and plant housekeeping. As shared by Dr. Tabuada, we take this opportunity to be able to maintain or safe keep our production facility and do the necessary inventory management. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So Envigor always follow the safety protocol in our operations. So we have a very limited face-to-face consultations. Most of our meetings are through Google Meet or to Zoom, and we use the internet facility or the online facility to be able to meet our clients. Our travel to be able to, at times we're invited still to visit their wastewater treatment facility and make recommendations, but these are very limited and all travel invitations need a travel permit. So we need to coordinate with the LGU of the destination. Just like when we visited Lingayen, we have a travel permit from the office of the mayor of Lingayen. At the same time, I have a travel permit from our barangay here in Parañaque. In our manufacturing facility and in our dealings with the different clients, social distancing is fully observed. Face mask and face shield is of strict compliance, especially to the marketing personnel. In our production, they use a face mask because it's God's grace, in our production area, it is zero COVID case. So there is no COVID, there is no person in our barangay that has been tested positive of COVID. We still follow the face mask, the hand washing, and the alcohol spray of our personnel in and out whenever they come in and come out of our production area is of strict compliance. Even vehicles, the motorcycles of the personnel are sprayed with alcohol, sprayed first with soap and water, and then with alcohol before entering the facility. The same is true before leaving the facility. The production floor is regularly washed or periodically washed and disinfected, and vehicle disinfection is strictly followed before entry. And because of the travel restrictions, it so happened that when the March 19 travel restrictions were exposed, most of our personnel are already inside the manufacturing plant. And we have what we call lodging facility inside the manufacturing plant. So during the ECQ, our production is continuous, though reduced scale, but our personnel did not went home. I did not go home. They did not go home for 2 months. They stayed in the manufacturing plant. Your food provisions were provided by the company. Next slide, please. So aside from the overall picture of the impact of COVID-19 in the business, according to the study, there is actually a sharp decline in April sales for most enterprises. That includes Biomain. And CR-based firms with decreasing sales value. So the COVID-19 really impacted drastically our sales during the pandemic. Next slide, please. Envigor, though experienced a decline in sales, however, was able to operate on profit. So even though we're experiencing, compared to 2019, our sales was experienced a decline, but still, by God's grace, as said by Engineer Bilonio, everything is by God's grace. Though we have experienced decline in sales, we are operating at profit. Next slide, please. So, what are the drivers? Just to compare how we performed last year in 2019. The drivers of our sales were the different rehabilitation activities of our government. So Boracay rehabilitation, Manila Bay rehabilitation, and in 2019, the need to clean our environment was highlighted by the President and by the DNR. So we took this opportunity to promote our product and participate in the different government efforts and public awareness promotion to support the urgent need and comply with the Clean Water Act. So 2019 is really a very good year for us because there is a drum beating of the need to clean our wastewater, to clean our environment, and that is that opens good opportunity. That opened good opportunity for and vigor. For 2020, next click please. What are the challenges of the 2020 that resulted to a decline in our sales? Of course, the ECQ and the GCQ restricted travel, restricted operations, means restricted or decline in wastewater production. The decline in the wastewater production means decline in the use of our product. The decline in tourism activities also limit our sales because most of our major clients are tourism-related companies. Decline in manufacturing activities means decline in wastewater production, so decline in the use of our product. So the challenge really is because of the COVID-19. The initial gains of 2019 in cleaning our environment was put in a sidelight because the focus now is on public health protection against COVID-19. Next slide, please. Nonetheless, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we're still able to launch our product in the retail market. So we promoted Vigormin in the different major supermarkets. This includes we also promoted our product and make it available online through Lazada and Shopee. And we have SNR, Handyman, Wilcon, Pure Gold, and the other supermarkets to promote our product. Click, please. So these are the promotion that we have in FB. Akala mo lang wala. Kasi before, we do not have our product available in the retail market. But now, it is available in different leading supermarkets like Pure Gold, Wilcon Depot, SNR, DB Mart, Handyman, SNR, and then the Shopee. Online, it is available online through Shopee and Lazada. So all of these efforts is actually to promote, next slide please, what we call Gawang Pinoy para si Pinoy. So actually, Vigormin was developed with the purpose of making every Filipino participate in the protection of our environment, conservation of our natural water resources. It is ecology friendly, safe to use, and odor-free application of waste management. So we are able to launch our product in the retail even during the pandemic. Next slide, please. Another impact of the COVID-19 to the business sector is what we call product supply chain bottlenecks. So because of the travel restrictions, 30% of the different enterprises face severe supply chain bottlenecks, and consequently, they cut their production by 50%. So in manufacturing sectors which are importing most of their raw materials, the supply chain bottleneck was caused by slow customs clearance in imported goods, limited operations with local suppliers, and shortage of truck and drivers because of the travel restrictions. Generally, there is no change in the cost of supplies during the ECQ and GCQ, but 50% of the firms increase in the cost of supplies, particularly in NCR, because of the limited travel and the many requirements that you need to complete before you can do travel and deliveries. Next slide, please. For Envigor, we do not experience supply chain bottleneck from January to August 2020 because by God's grace, we were able to do a 6 months inventory of our production supplies at the start of January. And because of the cut in production volume, the 6 months inventory supplies, pardon for the wrong spelling, most likely I'm already having a difficulty with my eyes. So the cut into production makes our supply chain available and enough for the production of Vigomin during the pandemic period. After August 2020, we experienced about 5 to 15% in the cost of core supplies, basically because of the travel restrictions and higher cost of fuel, according to them, higher cost of travel. And we experienced 7 to 30 days delay in the raw materials delivery. So it's just good that we have 6 months inventory of our raw materials. So we make sure that we make the order 30 days before we run out of stock of our needed raw materials. Again, in the business environment, due to limited operations of local suppliers and travel restrictions of drivers and supply personnel, we experience the cost or the increase in the cost of supplies. Next slide, please. COVID-19 also have an adverse impact on the sources of business funds during the ECQ. For the entire business sector or for the industries, it was reported that 50% of the enterprises, the company funds, and retail profit were used. Although, so to make the manufacturing operations continuous or operational, 54% of the enterprises use their own company funds and retained profit, while 22% of the firms borrowed from family, relatives, and friends to be able to support their financial needs. And 25% of businesses uses credit, the bank loans and overdrafts lines of credit, and 10.3% use funding support from business partners, and 8.9% receive government funding support. You will notice that this will not add up to 100% because most of the firms are using multiple channels to support their financial needs. Next slide, please. For Envigor, next slide, please. For Envigor, we use our own company funds to support our operation. So we use our income from sales during the January to August period to sustain our operation during the period. We were able to do this because we are maintaining lean production operation. Our operation is semi-automated, and we maintain lean organization because of this. And we were able to sustain sales even during the ECQ and GCQ because we have market partners that really maintain or regularly use our product even during the pandemic. Most condominiums need our product more during the pandemic because most of the residents are staying in the condominium. So to avoid unnecessary odor, strong odor, and to be able to process their wastewater, because most of the people are staying in the condominium, so they are producing more waste. So we were able to sustain our sales during these pandemic times. And because of limited marketing, limited travel, most of our meetings are online, limited representation expenses, we were able to minimize our operational expenses and sustain our operations with our own income. Next, please. COVID-19 also impacted wage payments. On the overall business scenario, 50% of the firms suspended wage payments, but the suspension is more pronounced in micro enterprises. So SMEs normally suspend wage payments, stop operation means no work, no pay for most SMEs. So wholesale and retail trade sector and NCR SMEs were reported to be highly affected by the suspension of reduced wage payment. 10.9%, or rather 19.9% of the firms surveyed says there is no change in the payment conditions of the employees. Only 2% of the enterprises in the nationwide scale increase in total wage payments. So this is the overall business scenario in our country. For Vigormin, next slide please. For Vigormin, there is no change in our payment conditions to all employees because we maintain our operations, and we reduce our production volume, and we reduce our marketing volume or our sales volume. Nonetheless, all our employees are paid on a regular and monthly basis. Other than their regular payment, we released the 13-month pay equivalent to the first quarter as encouraged by our president. Because the problem now is not only our personnel, but their whole family. Most likely, some members of the family are not receiving any income because most of the company have suspended operation, and at times no work, no pay. So to be able to help the entire family of our personnel, we released the first quarter 13-month pay equivalent to our personnel on request, because some members of our production personnel did not need the 13-month pay. So upon request, we will release the 13-month pay equivalent to the first quarter. We also provided food subsidy to the stay-in personnel. Our company is listed as in the DOLE for those who will qualify for assistance. According to them, when I received a letter communication from DOLE, we are paying regularly our SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and our taxes. And I think those were the primary screening criteria that I use. So we are qualified for DOLE assistance, and our personnel receive 8,000 for 2 months as their DOLE assistance. I think this is assistance, this is for free. So although we only submit the names of those who belong to the rank and file, we did not submit the names of the those receiving more than 25,000. I did not submit any more the names, and the personnel agreed that they will not apply anymore to give the fund to those who are really in need, because we try to explain to them the funds of the government are limited. So if we will all apply for it, you are just delimiting, you are limiting the availability of the fund to those people who are really in need. So we will only apply the assistance to our personnel who are receiving less than 16,000 per month. So other than the assistance, some of our personnel applied for Pag-ibig and SSS loan and calamity loan. So we processed this, and they also received this salary and calamity loan as upon request. Next slide, please. So COVID-19 also created the work from home scenario in most industries. However, in most manufacturing enterprises, this is not feasible, especially to the micro enterprises and wholesale and retail trade. Only 50% of the NCR-based firms reported that work from home is feasible. So the remaining 50% is not feasible. In Envigor, next slide please, the work from home is not feasible because anyway, our production personnel are in-house in our production plant, and they are supported, and they just send their salary to their family through Palawan Padala, I guess, or LBC. So, however, in our accounting staff, the work from home is feasible. For technical consultation, this is my participation, delivery staff, and my overall management of the operations, this is just partially feasible. So at times we visit the manufacturing plant, or at times we work from or coordinate the operations at home. So this is how we operated during the pandemic. Next slide, please. Other than the regular operation of our company, Envigor also supported the project of Adamson University in sharing blessings. Adamson University started feeding the LSI March 22, and it's been continuous since then. They are feeding around 350 to 400 LSI or persons in need in the university every morning. And Envigor supported this operation or this uh, sharing of blessing operation through cash donation. So we donated some amount to be able to finance the feeding program of the university. And this is a great boost because especially during the time when there are so many LSI in Manila, so we provided meals for them during the time of need. Next slide, please. So after COVID-19, what shall we do? So you see, from ECQ, we transformed to MECQ, then to GCQ. Manila NCR now is GCQ. Hopefully, we will be able to meet the requirements to be declared as modified general community quarantine, and hopefully by 2021, the Philippines will be COVID-free. Again, everything is by God's grace and the cooperation and active participation of every Filipinos. Next slide, please. For Envigor, our recovery action plan has 4 main targets. We will try to upbeat our production, improve our human resource, and develop further or expand our local market. And we are targeting the export market in 2021. Next slide, please. So for the production upbeat, as soon as we are able to recover from sales and we are able to meet our sales target, we will improve further our equipment and we will focus on the automation of 1 kilo packaging. The pilot plant funded by DOST focused on the automation of the 25 kilo packaging. Now, as soon as we're able to maintain our sales, meet our sales target, we will promote now or develop now the 1 kilo packaging, the automation of the blending and the packaging of the 1 kilo and we will make the blending of the different variants of Vigormin in 25 kilo. We will also purchase a pork cliff. This is our short-term goal. Next slide, please. So we also want to engage in product diversification. So we will also develop the proposal for derivative products of our raw materials. The derivative products will focus on cosmetics and potable water. Next, please. On human resource development, actually, before the onset of the pandemic, we are supposed to expand our production, or rather our personnel. We are supposed to do the hiring of these people. But good enough, we were just doing the interview and processing the documents when March 16 ECQ was declared. So we have to suspend all the hiring and development of our personnel. So as soon as things normalizes, or things came to normal, if we have normal operations, then we will be hiring additional personnel and we will continue with the skills training of our personnel because we believe in multitasking, but development of skills. So welding, equipment maintenance, and basic electrical connection. Sorry for the spelling again. And then we will do this. Next slide, please. For the market expansion, we want to focus on the marketing and promotion of other relative or related products that can be used for the natural treatment of wastewater. We know very well that treatment of wastewater is very complex and no single product can address the problem, especially now that DNR is implementing the new standards are very strict and need to be followed. So we are going to promote other products that can be used for the treatment of wastewater. But the main criteria there is it should be natural and ecology-friendly product that can be used for the treatment of the different types of waste. Particularly, we will focus on industrial wastewater treatment, the treatment of fats and oil and grease, the sludge treatment, and the plant-based disinfection material or products. Next, please. So, for the export market launching, we want to promote the products in the ASEAN countries and Middle Eastern countries. So, we have already some initial proposals for Thailand and Singapore. We have initial contacts, and for Middle East, we have initial contacts with Dubai and Bahrain. But still, because of the pandemic, all initial meetings were postponed, and hopefully, when things are normal, we can activate and push this market launching actively. Next slide, please. So, the business sector needs to rebound after the pandemic. And the initiatives that I'm going to share with you are actually initiatives of our government that I just want to share with you based on the ADB report. So, because of the decline in the production, the reduction in sales, the access to finance must be very strong during the recovery period. The government has already so the enterprises are facing serious working capital constraints. Additional finance in the form of loans and overdraft facilities should be a high priority for government assistance. Though the government has provided a 60 billion credit to what we call medium scale and micro, small, and medium scale enterprises credit guarantee facility, which is administered by the Philippine Guarantee Corporation. A 50% guarantee on working capital loans will support the 120 billion in lending of commercial banks. In addition, the Agriculture Guarantee Fund pool reduces its guarantee fee from 1% to 0.5% for borrowers hit by the crisis and increases its coverage ratio from 85 to 90%. A small business corporation under the Department of Trade and Industry is providing loans totaling 1 billion to micro and small businesses affected by the crisis. Micro enterprises can borrow up to 200,000 and small businesses up to 500,000, and the interest rate will be set at 0.5% per month with a 6-month grace period on principal repayments. The loans were available in areas where the ECQ was lifted starting mid-May. A small share of enterprise surveyed sell products or services on the internet. This makes it difficult to service customers and generate revenue during the quarantine or other mobility restrictions period. Efforts can be made to encourage firms to get connected to advertise, offer, and sell over the products through the internet. Enterprises often need help even with the e-commerce basics such as creating their website. In addition to all this support, enterprises need to link with the e-payment services provided to receive revenue. Platforms, e-commerce, e-service companies, and e-payments providers are available, but enterprises need to know how to link with them. Getting connected in this way will not only assist businesses to keep operating in the current and to expand their customer base under the normal and the new normal business conditions. Tax deferrals are helpful. Deferrals ease cash flow and enhance liquidity by reducing outflow. The government was proactive in this regard during the first few months of the crisis. Deadlines were extended by 1 to 2 months, depending on the type of tax. Extensions were from the original dates from April to May to various dates in June. In all, there were 13 deadlines extended during the pandemic. So, all these policy guidelines hopefully will support the different industries and their economic rebound and lead to economic recovery. Next slide, please. So these are the policy support that are needed for the economic rebound as reported by the Asian Development Bank of the Philippines. Tax reform, the tax credit and reductions, the corporate recovery and tax incentive for enterprises, the social distancing and safety protocol should still be observed even during the recovery period to prevent any reoccurring of the crisis. And then there must be a setup or a system or a mechanism to be able to make enterprises source their workers locally. So in Batangas, in our manufacturing plant, it is a requirement that about 30% of our workers should be coming from Tanawan City or from the barangay, especially. Now, with this pandemic, at least I think the government should improve further this policy and contain the mobility of the people and prevent the transference or the transfer of the virus from one municipality to another if we are sourcing our workers or personnel locally. So we have to ease the mobility restrictions, especially when the work from home practices are really not possible. Next. So just we have to remember the problem is not forever. This is just right now. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So that sum up my presentation. These are the following sources. The ADB report for the overall business climate. These were sourced from the AD report and the Global Economic Prospects of June 2020 of the World Bank. Next slide, please. So, as said by the two speakers, success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and above all, love of what we are doing, of what we are learning to do. So, to be able to succeed in combating COVID-19, all of these are needed. And above all, success is by God's grace. And when we are given the opportunity to enjoy the fruits of success, we should all remember that success is just God's grace, and those who were able to attain it should be the channel of God's blessing. Thank you. I think that is all. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. Again, in behalf of Vigorman and Adamson University, we would like to thank the OST, Manila Water Foundation, and the different institutions and agencies that supported NVigor and Vigorman and able to attain, so that it's able to attain its humble accomplishment through these years. Thank you very much. Is there any question?
All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much, Dr. Palencia, for that very informative presentation. We are inspired by your passion to course through your business, not just on the profit side, but really by taking care of the welfare of your employees as well. Congratulations po on the continuous success of Bigger Mint. All right. So at this point, I'd like to give way to our moderator for our next portion, Communications Manager of Manila Water Foundation, Ms. Jill Iris M. Ramos.
Thank you, Melvin. And again, my name is Jill Ramos, and I will be your moderator for this segment. So good morning, everyone. And thank you so much to the 150 live attendees to our webinar. Again, you are joining us, episode 1, Engineer Entrepreneurs in the Time of Pandemic. So at this point, we will bring back in our 3 speakers to entertain questions from our attendees. Hello, Engineer Belonio, Dr. Tabuada, and Dr. Palencia.
Hello.
All right. So, good morning. And
Good
I am so
morning.
privileged. Yes, good morning. And we are
Morning.
also privileged to be in the presence of great minds, and not just of great minds, but with big hearts as well. Ayan, I couldn't stop smiling this morning the entire time I was listening to your talks. You were all very inspiring, and I am sure all of our attendees learned a lot from your stories, not just the technical side, but also the motivation side, no? So you shared a lot pertaining to the challenges of this pandemic and how you were really able to start from the idea up to the time that it was commercialized. So thank you so much for joining us. All right. So at this point, we are going to entertain questions from our platforms, our digital platforms. So we are going to flash the first question. This is for Dr. Tabuada. Can you share how you were able to engage the community in your project?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Jill, for this moderating this session. And to answer the question, I would just like to first of all say or mention that as Dean of the School of Engineering, I also take care of the three core functions, no, of our institution. And these are teaching and learning, research, and also extension. So extension is interpreted in many ways. So we have extension that is on the technology transfer, commercialization of our research outputs. And then there is also what we call as community extension. And in this case, we extend by way of organizing events and projects that involve the less fortunate. And our university being a Catholic and private institution, we have preference to marginalized communities. So how we engage it, as Dean, we make plans on how to engage, and then we insert all the opportunities for engagement. On the part of Jones, it is just, I think, also providential that our company, in spite of all the site selection process at the beginning, we end up in Lapu-Lapu City, just about 10 minutes by tricycle ride to the housing project of our partner NGO, housing project for the marginalized community. So this project actually provides low-cost housing for residents or for scavengers around the city. So there were about 300 households, and then so I came to know it because of all the links that we have in the community, and we learned that providing housing to the community, marginalized community for this case, in this case, is not enough. We also provide livelihood. So therefore, we open up the avenues, and then we did some interviews of who among the people in the 300 households could get employment at GEMS. And so we have some criteria, and then we open up the doors for them. So that's how we get engaged the community in this project. And fortunately enough, we found appropriate and suitable people, the male, the men, as well as the women, no? So that the objective is that at least one for every household, 300, gets employed into the facility, so that there will be at least one provider of income, a main income or consistent income, aside from their continued scavenging and informal working or engagements in other ways. So that's how we did it.
Thank you, Dr. Tabuada. No? So you mentioned about the importance of having links, and of course the close proximity of the community that you were helping, and of course you surveyed and made sure that you were able to help at least one household by employing at least one person from each of the 300 households. So that's amazing, amazing work. So for the next question, this is for Engineer Belonio. How were you
Yes, ma'am.
able to ensure the availability of bio-waste to power the rice husk gasifier?
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. The stove should be close to the rice mill, ma'am. And everyone who would like to buy or use this stove, dapat may source ng fuel. So in this case is rice husk should be close to the rice mill. But the stove can also use other biomass if dapat yung biomass should be lignocellulosic and reduce in sizes. Kasi uniform sizes ang requirement. In the case of Manila, of course, wala niyan. Of course, in case of mga city, unless they are nearby, siguro, mga municipalities. But we are developing with the Indian company, yung natawag na pelleting or pellets. Because pellet is a possible mixture ng different kinds of biomass and they have uniform sizes. Pero long way pa yan siya. So those who would like to use the stove, dapat may source siya ng fuel. So marami naman yung rice areas dito sa ating country. Region 3, Isabela, Western Visayas, and even yung mga ibang small provinces na few lang din yung kuwan. Because there are from there na nagre-request of having the stove para sa kanilang use.
All right, thank you, Engineer Belonio. So, kailangan importante no na meron kayong source of fuel. So in this instance, yung ating rice husks. So, Engineer Belonio, baka gusto niyo pong mag-i-plug ang inyong website para dun sa mga interesado doon sa inyong rice husk gasifier. I know that you have a website, Engineer.
Actually, merong website pero kasi yung anak ko yung kumahawak. So just ipasok nyo lang yung BioLexis. Makikita nyo na yun. Yung kwan nyo lang, yung BioLexis. Then, labas na yun siya lahat.
All right. So
page,
just type in, yes, in your
type
search
in
engine.
BioLexis.
BioLexis. BIOLEXIS. Tama
Yes,
po ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Ayan. Thank you, Engineer Belonio.
Yes.
So, for our third question, good morning for Sir Alexis Belonio. Good morning po. How much does gasifier cost? So, ayan, may mga nagtatanong na nga po, magkano po ito?
Yung gasifier stove, yung BioLexis, nagre-range siya ng mga 2,500 to 5,000. Depende sa model. Meron kasi tinatawag na stainless steel. Then meron siya yung parang katulad ng LPG burner. Pero yung pinaka-simple and the low-cost one is mga 2,500 approximately. Except yung ano tawag ito, delivery. Because mag-a-add pa yun eh. Kaya ginagawa, when may umu-order, through tinatawag na distributor, so mga 50 units, yun yung kinukuha nila. So we deliver it. May mga delivery ko pa naman company na pwede through trackings or minsan dumadaan pa nga LBC. Ang others is through PhilPos. So depende kung nasaan sila, tsaka depende kung saan yung possible na mag-deliver. Pero yun yung price. Kung stove yung pag-usapan, pag malakihan, mas malaki yung mas malaki yung unit, mas mahal siya kasi the material will become thicker, then medyo complicated siya. So, minsan umaabot ka ng mga 100,000 isang unit kung sa mga dryer, mga ganon. So, ginagawa ko minsan, just let them build it, yung mga malalaki, ako lang yung nagdi-design. Then, para makareduce yung cost yung mga companies na gusto mag-adapt ng technology for larger applications yan na. Pero in terms of stove, simple lang naman eh. Marami din nagpo-produce ng stove dito sa Pilipinas. Ang isa pa is Ipasol. Narinig nyo Ipasol. Meron din yan dyan. So, lahat naman is may freedom to build the stove. Kasi para naman sa lahat yan eh. Yan.
That's right, Engineer Belonio. Nakakatuwa nga po dahil alam ko po na ginawa niyo pong open source itong technology ninyo, no? Itong rice husk gasifier stove. So, that is very commendable, Engineer. So, for our fourth question, this is about Vigormin. So, this is for Dr. Palencia. Okay. Is it possible to use it directly in bodies of water like rivers, oceans, etc.? If yes, can we use it in Manila Bay and Laguna Divide?
Thank you. Actually, you can use Vigormin in different bodies of water, whether it's river, lakes, seas, or beaches. But then the question is it sustainable? Because these bodies of water are receiving body of the waste. So aside from cleaning the river Manila Bay, we should also clean the sources, yung tinatawag nating point sources. And the cause of pollution of Manila Bay, Pasig River per se, 85% are domestic waste. Kumbaga, kaya dumumi ang Pasig River, and the cause of pollution of Pasig River in Manila Bay is our own home. Because our septic water is leaving our home partially or untreated. Because the design of the septic tank then was never envisioned to comply with DNR compliance. Sad to say, no? Di ba? I mean, just to be honest and frank, anyway, all of us are engineers. Whenever we construct residential units, ang hinahanap lang may septic tank ba yan? O ilang chamber? Pero never did it occur, will the septic tank meet Clean Water Act? So wala pa yun nung panahon na yon. So our problem now is we have to participate in cleaning our own wastewater so that we can sustain the cleaning rehabilitation efforts of our government in Pasig River, Manila Bay, Boracay, and Laguna Bay. Imagine if you will just clean the bay. You can clean it approximately, to me, you can clean it in 6 months only, because there will be a continuous flow of untreated or partially treated waste, both from the individual houses, from the different condominiums, different hotels, different businesses, and different commercial or manufacturing companies. So the sustainable solution to the protection of our natural water resources, whether it is a river, a lake, sea, or the beaches, or the bays, is tayo. Maglilinis po tayo sa ating mga sarili muna. O sabayan natin ang paglilinis ng gobyerno sa ating mga natural water resources, sabayan natin ang paglilinis naman ng atin. That's why we really try to make Vigomin very affordable to the individual houses. Kasi, ang paglilinis po ay walang katapusan. Akala po nila, pagkalagay mo ng 1 kilo, malinis ka na ng 1 buong taon. Hindi po pwede yon. Kasi po araw-araw, nagdudumi tayo ng tubig. Kaya kailangan ng paglilinis natin ng tubig, katulad din ng pagsinghot ng hangin. Di po ba? Nag-i-enjoy tayo ng malinis na tubig dahil pinananatili nating malinis ang ating katubigan. Otherwise, darating ang panahon, gamit tayo ng gamit, wala na tayong magagamit kasi lahat sila nadumihan na. So to answer, yes, we can use it. But to make it sustainable, we ourselves should clean our own used water, particularly the domestic water. I hope I answered my question.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Palencia, for that answer. No, so we have to start in our own
Yes.
backyard. So that is the sustainable solution in any problem. We have to start within our own home. So a while ago, that question was from YouTube. This time, this question is from Dioscoro Aberin Santos on Facebook. So for Dr. Palencia, again of Vigormin, I noted that your product is mainly for domestic wastewater treatment. Does your company have any plan to cater to the treatment of wastewater in the agro-industrial sector, specifically the hog and poultry farms? Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Actually, in the poultry industry, our Vigormin 2, the V2, is used now to be able to control ammonia in the manure of the chicken. Yung chicken droppings, nagkakaroon ng ammonia yan basta nababasa. So, they're normally using our product to spray on the chicken droppings or chicken manure to be able to control ammonia, control odor, and minimize the proliferation of flies. In the hog industry is a complex wastewater because there are a lot of solid waste that goes with it. So what we recommend is a combination of biodigester or biogas technology, and then after passing through biogas, then we will clean the wastewater. But then the cleaning of wastewater from the different hog industry should be complemented with proper design. Kasi po ang paglilinis po ng tubig ay hindi magic. Yun po ay proseso. Meron po siyang tinatawag na bioremediation, merong adsorption, merong tinatawag na filtration. So, may proseso pa siya ng paglilinis. Kasi sa dami ng tatanggalin, hindi po siya magic. So, kailangan, kahit gagamit tayo ng Vigormin, tama po yung tinatawag na laki ng tangke. Kasi po yung tubig, para malinis, kailangan manatili siya sa tangke kahit man lamang kalahating araw para malinis bago lumabas. Pero kung po yung tangke natin ay cute, napakaliit, yung tubig po ay nakikiraan lang. So kahit anong ilagay natin dyan, kahit hindi vigormin o kahit ano pang imported enzyme o microorganism ang ilagay natin dyan, kung yung design ng ating tangke ay hindi tama, hindi po tayo makakamit, malilinis natin, mai-improve ang quality. Pero hindi lang naman dapat i-improve i-meet nyo yung DNR standards na napakahigpit. So kailangan, together with Bickerman is the proper design of the water treatment para po ma-meet ang DNR compliance.
Ayan. So, sabi ni Dr. Palencia, no? So, it's a combination of your design and, of course, her technology, yung Vigormin 2. Ito yung odor neutralizer. And, of course, syempre, iba kasi yung complexity ng hog farms na katulad nga po ng sinabi ni Dr. Palencia. So,
if I may add, ma'am, simple lang. If I may
yes,
add,
doctor.
the agro-waste or the treatment of agro-waste water should be complemented with reuse. Dapat ititreat mo yung tubig, hindi para padaanin sa ilog o padaanin sa body of water, but dapat pagka-treat ng tubig, gagamitin natin to sa drip irrigation. Dapat yung na-treat na tubig, gagamitin pandilig sa mga tanim, lalong-lalo na sa mga provinces, na mga agri-based provinces. Imagine kung lahat tayo naglilinis, tapos yung na-treat na tubig, ibibigay mo sa agriculture, so tuwan-tuwa ang ating farmers, may tubig sila throughout the year. Kahit tag-init, kasi ang Pilipino naman, naliligo lagi araw-araw, lalo na pag tag-init. So, laging may tubig, basta na-treat, pwedeng ipandilig.
Ayun. So, baka pwede din natin gawin yun, no? Thank you po for that wonderful idea, Dr. Palencia. So, that will help in the sustainability of our environment. So, ngayon naman po, meron tayong question for all our panelists. Ito po yon. So, how did the Manila Water Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence Award inspire you in helping more communities through your project? So, let's start with Dr. Tabuada.
Thank you po. For me, actually, it is just sort of like the seed, no? That when you plant properly the seed and it is planted in fertile soil, so then it can really grow more fruit. So aside from this project that we are in, we move on also to other engagement, other projects. So for example, we have funded projects at the university for renewable energy. So in off-grid, especially in small off-grid island communities, so they are the ones also in need of renewable energy. So when we install solar powered energy, for example, we encourage what we call pure uh, productive uses of renewable energy. And in this case, we engage with the community para they would have sort of like small productive uses of energy, encourage them to use energy for small enterprises, for their jobs, and for their livelihood para they can have more money and then have more income and they can also pay for their electricity. So in this case, for example, we encourage them to use their energy to make ice, sell ice, or mayroon din silang ATM, automatic tubig machine, for example. So very simple activities in these small off-grid islands, but we are able to engage them and then empower them to have some ideas on how to really improve their lives through simple ways of doing things and encouraging them to really get involved also with us. So then at least man lang kahit konti babangon sila sa kahirapan nila and then they could have opportunities for more. So even just the use of solar power to have like simple ice making machines or freezers para they can sell ice candy or ice for the fishermen and then also for ice para malamig yung inumin nila araw-araw. So simple as that.
Thank you, Dr. Tabuada. So giving them more ideas on how to cope at this time. So Engineer Belonio, you can go next
Yes,
po.
ma'am. Okay, actually, sabi ko nga, because of the MWF award I received, parang barometer yun eh, barometer ko eh. Nagme-measure to do the next kung anong assignment. By early next year, together with the DA BAPE, so we have titignan na project about the use of biomass for agricultural applications like water pumping, mga drying, etc. Yung mga ganon. More than that, deep inside, yung pinapawork sa akin ngayon, it's more on din sa tinatawag na waste utilization to energy. Like I'm working with one company on processing plastic waste into tatanggalin niya even yung mga hospital waste. So through gasification. So meron tayong tinatawag na allothermal gasifier reactor. So we tried it and it works. So sooner, mga next year, early next year, lalabas na itong mga technology. So yun yung nakikita ko. Makakatulong kasi if I help these big companies na sa mga problems na gano'n, indirectly we are helping also yung mga constituent o sa mga tao. Kung saan man yan nakalagay. Yun lang po.
Thank you, Engineer Belonio. Yun, nakakatuwa naman pong marinig na lalo pa po kayong na-inspire, no? Parang it became a validation for you to pursue that calling to use waste for others use naman, no? So this time industrial naman tayo. So nakakatuwa po. Opo. For Dr. Palencia, same question po.
As for me, to belong to the top 5 and be among just like Dr. Tabuada is a great honor for me. You know, most of us are professors. So the award, the Manila Water Prize for Engineering Award, gives us the inspiration and the courage to move on to the world of business. Kasi po kami, academicians po kami. So never in my mind, at my age especially, that I'm going into business. But because of the Manila Water Foundation Award, Prize for Engineering Excellence Award, we're given the inspiration and the motivation and the courage to develop further our products and move and target commercialization. It also provides us the tool during the journey of our commercialization because the prize is our starting capital. So you know, in our university, I think Dr. Tabuada can also say so. In the university, you cannot just cash advance na napakalaki, di ba? Well, what we do is we spend first and then liquidate and then you parang gano'n, you just manage the finances very well. So the prize actually provided the necessary seed fund for us to continue on our technopreneurship journey. So again, thank you, Manila Water Foundation. Now we are here.
And thank you so much for being here with us. It was such an honor to listen to your stories. So while we wait, so here's another question, no? So since we are experiencing an economic crisis due to COVID-19, is it wise to venture into an enterprise now? Why or why not? Yan. So maybe I can start with Engineer Belonio naman, the only thorn among the roses.
Depend kung ano yung demand. Like for example, for the stove, madami yung demand because of the need nila nung yung source ng low cost source of fuel. So meron silang IPA, meron silang corn cobs, so anything. So ganun yon. So kung may demand, so pwedeng i-produce. Basta ready siya. Kasi mahirap i-produce siya, then wala siyang demand. Then syempre may risk doon. Saka you have that investment. Edi matutulog yun siya. So, depende siya ngayon. So, katulad ng isang technology na develop namin sa PhilRice is yung hydrous bioethanol using biomass waste as fuel. So, pwede yon kasi may need ngayon na mahal yung alcohol. So, it is a kinakuha na pilot project ng DA BAPE and PhilRice by next year para mag-support sa COVID. So we can produce a cheaper source of alcohol para sa sanitizer alcohol. So ganun siya, depende po ma'am. ang sagot ko.
Ayan. Opo. So, maganda yung nasabi ni Engineer Belonio, no, na kailangan magsimula tayo sa demand. Tingnan natin, may demand ba doon sa idea na iniisip nyo na i-commercialize. Ayan po. And then, we'll go to Dr. Tabuada.
Yeah. Yes, po, Jill. This is a very interesting question, actually, because again, I affirm Engineer Belonio's statement also that it depends on the demand or the need. So, for example, at GEMS, sinabi ko, nabanggit ko earlier that we use auxiliaries to also process our products. And one important auxiliary is the ethanol, the food grade ethanol, in the process of producing pectin, that is a gelling agent. Now, marami kaming ethanol doon sa facility. So we put some in the laboratory to see how we could recycle them. And during the pandemic, of course, ethanol is in demand. So we are actually scrambling that to hasten the process of recycling ethanol into the one that is or that can pass as a sanitizer or as a sanitizer and disinfectant. So luckily, so nag-pivot na rin tayo. So just like basketball, we have to change direction kung ano yung in our favor to shoot the ball, di ba? So ganun din. So we also pivot on ano yung direction that would give us some extra income or another way of raising sales or increasing our sales. So instead then, so we focus on recycling ethanol and then sell that as a disinfectant or sanitizer. So that's one experience that we have in our venture. And another one is also the online. Make use of the online digital platform to engage with clients and with partners. So in this case, we did not we did not go into the venture, but actually we open up opportunities for to meet new clients online. So around the world. So amazingly, online can make us engage around the world without really stepping out of our houses. So that's one important lesson also during this time. So thank you, Jill. Over to you.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Tabuada. So what we're hearing now from our panelists is that we need to acknowledge what's happening now.
Yes.
And we need to embrace our times,
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
This time, because as much as there are challenges along the way, we also now have a lot of opportunities because of the
Yes.
pandemic. And one of the opportunities mentioned by Dr. Tabuada is going online. So, dati-rati siguro hindi natin napapansin yung international clients. But now, because we are forced to do everything online, we are now expanding our reach to even further our business in the other side of the globe. No? So, this is a wonderful opportunity to even go beyond what we have planned for this year. All right. So, Dr. Palencia, same question po.
Just to add to the sharing of Dr. Tabuada and Engineer Belonio, most successful businessmen would say, for every problem is an opportunity. So, if you can see a solution to a current problem, engage in providing that solution and make market. Diba? Demand driven nga eh. But you see, at times, depende yan sa pananaw. Kahit may market, kung hindi mo naman siya nakikita, hindi mo ma-appreciate, hindi ka mag-action. So, ang ano lang natin, ang natutunan ko dun sa malalaking successful businessmen, in times of pandemic like this, they will see this as opportunity for creating solutions. Kung ano yung kailangan, kung ano yung demand, nakakaiba, na ikaw ang may solusyon, if you have it, go for it. This is a good opportunity for you to create business. Depende na lang sa appreciation natin kung anong meron ka, anong kaya mo, at anong nakikita mong kailangan ng paligid mo. Yan lang po. Thank you.
Ayan. So, tama po yan, Dr. Palencia. Ang ganda po ng sinabi nyo na kailangan bukas ang mga mata natin,
Bukas.
no? Hindi lang tayo nakafocus doon sa mga problema or sa mga challenges, pero yung mata natin nakabukas sa mga opportunities that are presenting
Yeah.
themselves to us. Yan. So, at this point, we will now read comments, no? So, kanina there were questions. So, here's a comment from Mr. Noel Benavides from YouTube. I am impressed with Dr. Evelyn Tabuada. Ayan.
Yes.
So may fan po tayo, Dr. Tabuada. And then, here's a comment from Mr. Dioscoro Aberin Santos from Facebook. Praise the Lord in the life of engineer Alexis Belonio for
Yes.
acknowledging that God is his source of wisdom in his work and
And
advocacy.
advocacy.
Ayan. So, na-inspire po siya. Another comment from Miss Laarni Piloton from Facebook. Congrats, Ma'am Merlinda Palencia. Ayan.
Yeah.
Another one from Miss Alea Aliporo Eugenio. Hi, Alea. I know her. So, from Facebook, she said, inspiring session. Yan.
Yeah,
Ang dami po
perfect.
talagang na-inspire sa ating episode ngayong araw na to. So, at this point, after reading all the questions and answering them, I'd like to ask, parang Miss Universe lang, no? And Mr. Universe. I'd like to ask, do you want to say any closing remarks or any closing message to all our event participants who joined us today? And of course, we will also be posting this stream in all our platforms in YouTube, Facebook, and Viber, and LinkedIn. Baka po meron kayong gusto pang ma-share as a closing message to everyone. Maybe Dr. Tabuada can start. Oh, Dr. Tabuada, we cannot hear you po. Oh, Dr. Tabuada, I think you have a technical problem. I'll go back to you, Dr. Tabuada. Let's start with Dr. Palencia po.
At this point in time, I would just like to share that everything that we have is by God's grace. As according to Engineer Bologno, to me, everything that we have is by God's grace. And upon receiving God's grace, it is up to us to share this grace, to share this blessing to the community and to the people around us. Just make use of what we have. Everybody is given a mission. Everybody is given the talent and the skills and the wisdom to do what God wants us to do for our life. I just hope we will meet our mission and vision in life and meet our God with pride, and you can say to him, we did it for our country and for our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Palencia. Engineer Belonio, you can go next.
No, sige. I would like to encourage all engineers to join the 2021 MWF Prize for Engineering Excellence.
Ayan.
This is one of the avenue where you can share your God-given talents in helping others. Okay? Always remember that there is someone who can guide and help us,
Yes.
especially in times of need. Sige, God bless po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Engineer Belonio. And Dr. Tabuada? Oh, Dr. Tabuada, we can't hear you. Maybe you can remove your earphones. Baka po yung earphones. Can you unplug? Let's try that. Oh, it's not.
Wala na
There.
talaga.
Oh, can you? No, we can't hear you po. We'll go back to you, Dr. Tabuada. Can you try maybe another earphones po? Wala pa rin po. Dr. Tabuada, kung sakasakali pong hindi kayo marinig, maybe you can type po in our chat box and then I'll just read it out loud po.
Okay.
Ayan, there you go. Dr. Tabuada, we can hear you.
Ayan.
Yes, thank you, Jill, for the patience. My earpods is actually running out of power. So anyway, I'm here. So my ultimate message is, in spite of this pandemic, this is one great trial for all of us, and it is also one great opportunity for a great reset. So we can reset our lives and start anew, and then that's again another another opportunity to re-examine ourselves and what is really our purpose in life and how
Yeah.
we contribute to this pandemic, for example, and how we could repurpose and seek guidance from God. What is the message that He is telling you right now? For me, actually, I have a great revelation during this 7 month pandemic because it means that I can converse with Him more honestly and more freely and also more meaningfully. And one message He said is just that we just have to hang on and find meaning with
Yeah.
life in our lives.
Yeah,
And then
that's right.
one last message is for all the engineers out there, the Filipino engineers. Please hang on, and then maybe you could try to reevaluate yourself and see how you can join in the contest of the Manila Water
Yeah.
Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence. It is really a great journey. Since the beginning in 2015 up to now, it's 2020, it's still very meaningful. It provides
Yeah.
us some direction and how we could contribute as an engineer to our country. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Well said, Dr. Taboada. So I like what you said, no? So we have to this is that perfect time to reset and to repurpose. Um and you wanted to share that we just need to hang on during this
Mm.
difficult time. So thank you so much, Dr. Taboada, Dr. Palencia, and Engineer Belonio. It was such a pleasure to moderate this Q&A with you three. So again, unanswered questions from our viewers will be collated by the Manila Water Foundation team and will be shared to our speakers. A summary of their answers will be sent to all the registered participants. So I hope you all registered. So now, let me turn you over to Melvin for the next part of the program. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you so much, Jill. And of course, thank you so much to our speakers. It's been such an inspirational morning. Thank you for opening our eyes to really appreciate the beauty of this pandemic and for partnering with Manila Water Foundation to encourage our engineers out there to join us as well in the Prize for Engineering Excellence. All right. So moving on to the next part of our program, we would like to share with you a message from the beloved chairman of MWF and Manila Water Company's President and CEO. Let's now all welcome Mr. Rene D. Almendras.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you, first of all, for joining us today for the very first episode of the Engineers for Excellence webinar series. Pasensya na po kayo, the pandemic is causing us to be a bit more different, and a webinar today is as normal as having a real seminar. It's actually been only 8 months since we awarded the third batch of the awardees of the Manila Water Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence. But we've gathered today to continuously push forward our intention to foster the ingenuity of the Filipino engineers. As many of you may know, we have given recognition to 10 Filipino engineers for the past 3 runs of the prize. And we're all very proud of these awardees. That's why we constantly celebrate them. But aside from the prizes and the recognition that they highly deserve, we also want to extend our unceasing support by providing platforms and opportunities where they can promote their projects and technologies. Thus, we have created the Experts Bureau, a sub-program of the prize which aims to further engage our awardees in meaningful collaboration such as this webinar series. This is the first time that we will be doing this, and we are indeed very excited to do it. This engagement is a 3-part webinar series that will feature the projects of our awardees, which helps us in curbing the adverse effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. And in our own small way, we are hoping that we will help create the new normal and solve some of the challenges of the new normal. If you will allow me, today we are glad to be joined by 3 of our awardees who are among the best in their fields. Thank you to Dr. Evelyn Taboada, Engineer Alexis Pilonio, and Dr. Merlinda Palencia, for accepting our invitation. Dr. Tabuada and Dr. Palencia are both chemical engineers from our first batch of awardees in 2015, while Engineer Bilonio is an agricultural and biosystems engineer and is among the 2019 awardees for the prize. Their field of expert may slightly differ from one another, but there are two things that they share in common. First is their passion to advance the engineering profession in our country. They do this by continuously developing engineering solutions that every Filipino can be proud of, and hopefully every Filipino can take advantage of as well. Dr. Taboada has been a resource speaker in various international conferences where she has shared the marvelous benefits of converting mango wastes into high-value products. Engineer Bilonio, who invented the multi-fuel gasifiers tool, has made his design into an open source technology so that more communities all over Asia can benefit from it. Very noble of Engineer Bilonio, if I may say so. Lastly, Dr. Palencia's Vigor Min technology has been cited by the European Union and other Southeast Asian countries to be among the top emerging technologies for waste and sewage treatment. We have also benefited from her product when we collaborated with her team and Globe Telecoms during the rehabilitation of Boracay in 2019. Dr. Palencia personally conducted a demonstration of how Vigormin works and how Boracay residents can contribute to the sanitation problems or to the solution of the sanitation problems of the island. The second thing that they share in common is their mission to uplift the lives of the marginalized communities through their engineering innovations. Their heart to serve has made it possible for thousands of Filipinos to have a better livelihood, to help uproot their families from poverty. And today, they are here to showcase these qualities by sharing with all of us their journey specifically in commercializing their projects and running their enterprises during this unique time of the pandemic. We hope that their experience will be able to help their fellow engineers to overcome the challenges they face and at the same time inspire others to develop solutions, especially during this time when we are needed the most. With that, I hope that all of us will take an inspiration, be inspired from these three outstanding engineers. I also wish that you will join us again in the next two episodes of the webinar series. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Have a great day. And as we now commonly say, keep safe. And thank you very much po.
All right. Thank you very much, Sir Rene, for that wonderful message. And just like what Sir Rene said, we hope to see you again in the upcoming episodes of the Engineers for Excellence webinar series on November 5 and December 3. We hope that you will mark your calendars already, where we will talk about the roles of engineers in supporting both the frontline and backline workers during this COVID-19 pandemic. So to register and for further details, please visit Manila Water Foundation's social media accounts. And we also invite everyone to answer a short evaluation form by scanning the QR code flashed on your screen. So I'd like to reiterate that that form will be available until 1:30 p.m. only. So we hope that you will take that time to answer the evaluation form. So a link to the survey platform is also posted in the comment section. An e-certificate will also be issued as soon as you have accomplished the evaluation form. All right, so we would like to invite all engineers tuned in today to join the Engineers for Excellence Facebook group to get exclusive tips and updates for the upcoming 2021 run of the Manila Water Foundation Prize for Engineering Excellence. It has been such a great honor and privilege to be your host for today. So on behalf of Manila Water Foundation and our partners DOST and PTC, We hope that you have had a fun and meaningful and inspiring learning experience. Again, my name is Melvin, and see you again in our next webinar. Goodbye.